Hey y'all, I'm Paige Feldman. I'm a writer and director, and this disaster here is what my desk usually looks like when I'm not filming YouTube and cleaning it up so it looks nice for everybody. And I'm doing this today, filming from this angle, not cleaning up my desk, because as you can see, I am very busy. I have a lot of projects going all at once. I have this binder here, which is the script for episode 4 of How to Fall in Love the Hard Way, my audio romantic comedy series that I'm currently editing and getting ready for release in April. I have my to-do list for the day here, 2 journals, a book that I love that my mom and my sister got for me. Look at this, this is awesome. Love it. But this is where I'm planning a rewrite in it. I have my computer open where I have a guide on how to do a beat sheet for a TV show, because I realized that my latest TV sample that I wrote is just not doing it anymore. And then I finally, there's something in here also on the computer, is this idea that I've been working on for 2 years that I finally broke. Plus, besides all that, I have Back to You, which is my contained romantic comedy feature that I am documenting the making of here on YouTube as my debut feature as a writer-director. So all this to say is I'm massively busy. I have so many projects I want to work on and not a lot of time because I also have a day job besides all of this. So what I want to talk to you today about is this trick that I've created, this way of finding extra time, enough extra time that over the course of this next year, I'll be able to write an entire feature script additional than everything I was planning in this year. And so I want to tell you what it is because it's something that anybody can do. And I literally mean anybody. This isn't like, oh, you can crochet these mittens in 5 simple steps, because let me tell you, I cannot crochet, but I can find time, and you can find time to just make your filmmaking and writing and whatever your creative dreams come true. So before I get into what this tip is, I need to tell you how I came up with it. Because all of these things that I'm working on, my number 1 priorities being Back to You, my contained romantic comedy feature, How to Fall in Love the Hard Way, my audio romantic comedy series, getting that released, which is a different muscle than writing Back to You right now, and a work for hire thing that I can't really talk about, but it's really exciting and it's part of the thing that I'm doing, using this little book for right now. So those are my number 1 priorities, but also having new samples, super important to me, so that I can hopefully get representation, get read, maybe get more of these little, work for hire things. And given my current workload, if I were to be realistic about what I want to accomplish in the next year, really those new samples would have to be on the back burner. And by the back burner, I mean on ice, cryogenically frozen, waiting to get thawed so I can write them. And that's just being realistic, because putting time into those, into a new pilot, into a new feature sample, takes time away from all of the other things that I'm doing. And getting a show released, getting a work for hire assignment finished, and getting my first feature really off the ground, way more important than new samples in the scheme of things. There's making that work that's really important to me. But it feels ludicrous to be waiting a whole year to have time to finally get those samples done. It feels like I'm stalling out of my career. So I needed to find time somewhere to do these things. And I also needed to make sure that I didn't take away time from all of these projects that are the number 1 priority for me right now. I have 3 number 1 priorities, although the work for hire thing will be done soon, but 3 number 1 priorities. So I did some math, and based on the number of scripts I've written and the number of pages I've written, I know I can draft about 3 to 5 pages every half hour, meaning 6 to 10 pages per concentrated hour of writing. That means me, button, chair, typing for an hour. Not an hour straight. I have a thing where I do 20 minutes on, 10 minutes off, repeat 3 times. I get about 6 to 10 pages done, I get about 6 to 10 pages done in that hour cumulative of writing. So if I were to write at my lowest rate, which is 6 pages an hour, that would mean it would take me about 20 hours to write an 120-page script. 6 times 20 is 120. So having done that math, I asked myself, what if I set aside a half hour every week? Not every day, just every week. And not even an hour, a half hour every week. At my lowest rate, that would mean it would take me 40 weeks to write a script. And how many weeks are in the year? 52. That leaves me 12 weeks, or for if half-hour a week, 6 hours to do what I need to do to write that at least 3 pages in a half hour. And that's write a dedicated outline. So that's what I decided to do. I have decided to take half an hour every week to dedicate to a non-project in this number one priority thing. Either not the contained romantic comedy feature, not How to Fall in Love the Hard Way, not any work for hire that comes up, just whatever project that I want to get a new sample going. And y'all know that I wouldn't have announced this or told you about it if I hadn't tried it myself first. And I've tried it for about 4 weeks now, and let me tell you, it's going great. I already have an outline for my feature, and I've just finished a beat sheet for the TV sample. I'm not being prescriptive about which project I work on every week. It's just kind of what feels good to me. And since I'm feeling really good about the feature outline and my beat sheet's a little bit fuzzy right now, I'll probably work on the feature while I send my beat sheet for my pilot to my writing group, get some feedback on it, and slowly over the course of the next year, I will have a feature and a pilot. Most likely both of them, one of them may be done, maybe both of them done if I'm really fast, or maybe both of them almost done. But over the course of a year, without losing any time to any of my other projects, without losing focus, I'll have at least one, if not 2 scripts, which is super exciting. Now, I'm sure you're all asking, Paige, yeah, you say you're just gonna set aside half an hour, but where does that come from? Like, how can I just magically find half an hour? Now, there's a lot of ways to find half an hour, and none of them are magical, but they do all require some form of sacrifice. For me, I've decided that every Tuesday is my day for my creative sprint, which is what I'm calling this, a creative sprint, which is my half-hour timer on, turn the phone away, and then I just get going. And so on Tuesdays, I leave my phone in my bedroom in the other room while I'm in the office working for my day job. And what that does is it takes away a ton of distraction from me while I'm working for my day job so that I finish my work faster and I finish it sooner. And I'm lucky enough to have a life situation where I don't need to be with my phone all the time. So I'm able to just set that aside, work really hard on my day job, and then when I'm done with that, I can go and do my creative sprint. And I've saved half an hour of my workday because I haven't had the temptation of my phone to be distracted from it. Now, if you don't have the luxury of being able to put your phone in the other room for a work day, or you need to have it with you all the time, there are other things that you can do. First of all, you could potentially set up some sort of block on your phone for social media or anything that's going to suck time away from focusing so that you can just find half an hour. Because you're not trying to find like hours and hours, just half an hour early. You could wake up half an hour early. You could, instead of watching an episode of Bob's Burgers or Abbott Elementary, though I don't blame you if you don't want to do this, at lunch, you're going to eat lunch and do your creative sprint. You have that half hour time off anyway. Or you could stay up late for an extra half hour right before bed. That's your creative sprint one day. Not 1 week, 1 day every week. Or if finding a half hour feels too daunting, maybe it's finding smaller chunks multiple times a week. Maybe it's 15 minutes at lunch, or waking up 15 minutes earlier 2 days a week. Or you take 5 minutes 6 days a week. Really focus. I know, like, that, to me, 5 minutes is kind of like, oh, I guess I just barely get into it and then I'm done. But if all you have is 5 minutes every day, you can do it. I used to not be able to write unless I had hours and hours available to me, and I was just able to like slowly get into it. And then I had my first job, and I had an hour set aside for lunch, and within that hour, I had to eat, I had to be available to answer calls for my boss, and also available to do work. And so within that hour, which isn't legal, but that whole situation was bad, but within that hour, I had 15 minutes at a time where I knew that I wouldn't be bothered because my boss would be eating and he'd close the door. And so that 15 minutes became writing time, and I became very good and very efficient at being like, it's writing time, let's get it done. And so if you're looking for that time, 5 minutes before you go to bed, set your alarm 5 minutes early and just go there. And I'm not even as saying like, oh, you'll start for 5 minutes and then you'll just, keep going. No, you don't have to. Set your timer for 5 minutes. Write what you can. It'll add up. Even if it's not going to be a script in a year, you're still doing work on other projects, planting these seeds, and also planting some creative discipline within you that'll allow you to work more and get to work faster. Because let me tell you, as inhumane as those lunch breaks were at my first job, they also taught me so much about being able to sink into the work really fast and use all of my time efficiently. And that has helped me be productive now. When I have more time, I'm not sitting waiting for inspiration to strike. I'm done with work for the day. I switch gears and I get to work for my creative stuff. And this creative sprint is taking advantage of that conditioning that I've done, and also taking advantage of me figuring out ways to sacrifice my own fun time, because I do like scrolling social media, but I take that option away from me on Tuesdays and get to work, finish everything I need to get finished that much faster, and have that extra half hour to write a new pilot, write a new feature, and also entertain all of those little idea gremlins that come around when you're in the midst of a big project that maybe you don't feel like is going as good as you want it to right in the moment. Moral of the story: if you want to write an additional feature this year, if you want to write another pilot, if you want to work out an idea that you really like but you feel like you're cheating on the idea you're currently working on with it, all you need is 30 minutes a week. And that 30 minutes, you can find it however you want. And if you want to find it, I believe you will. And I hope that you use this tip to help you achieve what you want to achieve in terms of your writing or other creative goals this year. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. And if you are going to use this tip, give me a thumbs up. Love to see a ton of thumbs up here. And if you want to share what project you're working on, I'd love to see that in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be back next week for a very special episode of Cake Fight Presents The Making Of, all about the thing in this binder, which is How to Fall in Love the Hard Way, which new episodes are releasing March 7th on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all places that you can get podcasts. All right, that's the end of my plug. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you next week.